Are you
meeting.
crab cakes?
Okay, Jim.
To the members today?
Actually, John wants to speak.
Oh, good, okay.
I'm rolling, Jim.
Oh, take your seats, please. Actually, no, don't take your seats, stand up. It is time for a performance as the Grand Funk Rotary Choir under the direction of our songmeister, Alan Byrne.
Okay, all right. Page 7 today, everybody that's down by the riverside. It's a spiritual that was sung by the slaves prior to the Civil War. It wasn't published until 1918. And so it's appropriate for our state of affairs in our country today by the first verse. It goes to the second and third, which we don't have here. It speaks of white robes and the River Jordan, basically baptism. And so it had a lot of biblical imagery in the song. But we're taking the first verse here and remembering it comes back from some years ago. Okay, let's go.
Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, rolling down my sword and shield, down by the riverside, Lord. I hate them steady for
Right. All right, now the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. And now in prayer, please join in prayer or meditation as you please, as I say, bless this food to our use and us to thy service. Amen. The buffet is now open. Please, guests, Dr. Martin.
No, it's not.
The main entree
It's not open.
Oh,
It's stalled.
Hello, Al.
please have a seat.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. They have a new microphone they're testing today so that we can hear better, but they still can't hear us. So we still got to fix that part.
Well, if I have anything important to say, I'll have to speak louder, I suppose.
I guess.
You doing?
Hey, how are you?
How you doing?
Thanks.
Now, before Rachel leaves, I would show of hands, how many people were here for the social this weekend? I would like a round of applause for someone who went out of her way.
Yay, Rachel!
Thank you. All right, now, buffet is open, and would you please be the first and our other ladies?
Let me
Please
help
follow.
Dolores, Al Pascal is on. Hello, Al. Al, are you hearing us okay? We've got a new mic.
I'm hearing you loud and clear. Very good.
Rotary went deep in the hole. So we should have good fidelity.
Sounds good so far.
Yeah, you sound good too.
Good.
So I'm gonna stop rolling the tape. And you can go get a sandwich.
All right.
And as a report, and thank you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're rolling.
Okay. All right, I would like to start by welcoming our guests today. In addition to our speaker, Dr. Lisa Martin, who's going to be talking to us about the Northampton schools, we have mayor and an attorney here. And are there any other guests? I'm looking around the room. I think that's it. But thank you very much and welcome to voter. Oh. Do mark that he attended today.
Oh,
You know,
yes. Got it.
So we have several announcements and oh, by the way, first of all, the round of applause was well placed for Rachel because she did a great job. So did Jackie and Ken. And Ken,
I want
tell
to
us.
thank everybody for coming. It was a great evening. We're gonna try to do it again. And it was something that the social committee just picked up because Reggie was sick. So we basically, Jackie and I had to rearrange everything and get it started. And it worked out really good. And I thank the people on the board, on the social committee. And I'm sure that we'll try to do it again next year because I thought it was a great evening. Thank you.
Do you want to say anything about the next social?
Oh, well, you just drew it at us today.
Yeah.
Well, it's also on May 24th, the weekend, and we still have to find out what we're doing.
June 24th.
June.
Yeah, June 24th. Right, it'll be the installation of officers and details to follow.
Yeah, it'll take us a little time to get started. Thank you.
Yeah.
And as Stan would
Oh,
say,
sorry.
we had fun, right, Stan?
Yeah, excellent.
Yes, no, I'd rather do a happy dollars.
Oh, you were, okay. You had, these are all, yes.
So the Polio Plus baseball game, Norfolk Tides, 21 May. It's a Sunday.
21.
I just got notified, like, I hope somebody else in here
Yes.
got notified, but it's, so you have to do it online, so, it's only 2 weeks away.
Wow.
Be there or be square,
It was a fun time last year.
and I'll take 3 people.
No, we're not taking 3 people.
Well,
I'll get back to you on that. But if you go, you want
yes.
you want Ken in your car.
Oh, good. Yes, that's very true. That's very true. Okay, now, crab cakes. Oh, sorry. Well, wait.
Okay. On Saturday at 3:00, I'm taking 4 boats out to see the whale. Anybody wants to come along?
The whale is still there?
This
It's
is,
gonna be there for years.
oh my God.
Oh, cool. Where in Bay Creek? At the beach.
Base camp.
Base
Oh, at the
camp.
base camp. Excuse me. Okay, base camp, Bay Creek.
So we got 4 boats lined up already and they're probably.
Doesn't it
And
smell?
that's when, like,
3:00 Saturday.
3:00
yeah.
this
Oh,
coming
yeah.
Saturday.
About 5.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay, bring your own gas. No, okay.
Bring your own
So-
oar.
Okay, it is sneaking up on really quickly on June 30, that's just 6 weeks away, basically. We're making crab cakes, so we will start selling next week. I have to confirm with the treasurer who's not available today. I talked to the crab meat provider. He assures us we'll have crab meat, thinks it'll be cheaper than last time. But before I quote a price, I had to talk to Paul because Paul undercut me and said that's not right, it's not a number. And he's the one that does the math. I don't do the math. But anyway, I think it's $55 last time, $50.
Yeah, okay.
55. I assume it'll be the same, but we'll notify you within a few days. But expect to start selling next week because before you know it, it'll be on June 30. Okay. Huh? No, it's not going down. I just want to make sure I think we made a lot of money last time at 55, and I think if the crab meat goes down, we'll make even more money this time. So if Paul says 55 and I say 55, then guess what? It's going to be 55.
Very good.
I got
And-
it. That's 5 it is.
And set June 30th on your calendar for all hands on deck production day. Now, let's see here.
Stan wants to talk.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Tomorrow Wednesday is our paint day. We're gonna be painting the caboose.
providing the weather is okay, I think it's gonna be all right. So 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're gonna be there for 2 hours, whether we paint 5 feet or the whole thing, 2 hours. All right, great, see you guys there, I know
Yep.
everybody's gonna be there, I'm gonna try, and if there's not enough paintbrushes, we'll just share.
Maybe we'll finish by Christmas.
No, it's coming along.
All right, and that brings us, any other announcements? I think that brings us to Happy Dollars. Who's happy today? Who's got,
I've been
Bill?
waiting here.
Ah,
I'm $10 worth of happiness. And it's appropriate that Dr. Martin is here for these happy dollars, because last Tuesday afternoon, the Northampton High Interact Club relaunched the club.
Yes.
The club was established about 4 years ago, and we were hardly off the ground when COVID hit. But we are roaring now. That there are about 20 students, not a single senior, which means we'll have it rolling this year. We'll be well into next year, their senior year, and Interact will become a part of the culture at Northampton High. And I have to tip my hat to Bill Stram, who started all of this 10 years ago and invited me to work with the youngsters. So Bill, thank you.
Wow, okay. Stan?
3 happy dollars.
3.
Feel high, you're doing well, so that's $1 for each time.
I'm glad they're waiting.
How about 5 for each high?
I'm about 6 miles short of 80,000 lifetime miles on my bike. Since February of 2011, when I started biking again. So it's a nice day out today. I think I'll go about 40 miles or so. So today I'll break, it's a short ride. I'll break that 80,000 mile barrier today. $5.
Well, congratulations. But you've never jumped out of a plane.
So a lot of you were here, so I'm happy to say that Chip and I split the pot in the race over there, so I'm gonna give back $10 for that. I'm also glad that people from the county are here, because not last week because I was out of town, the week before I spent my first day mentoring 2 boys in 4th grade long division arithmetic. It took me a while. I think they're gonna be okay, I'm not sure. But the most important thing is, I'm 73 years old, I've been a treasury person, I worked in banks, I was a lawyer, I got my first badge ever from the Northampton County Public School System. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I actually have a badge on the gym for the first time in my life.
$20 altogether. Very good. Congratulations, Chip. Good, Graham.
It's not happy dollars. I just wanted the social is the 24th of June.
Well, we haven't,
There were so many things there.
it is, the date has not officially been
Oh,
set,
oh.
but it's gonna be that weekend. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yes, Jeff.
11 happy dollars, because I got to split the pot, and of course I don't get it.
Thank you. 11, Jim. Anyone else? All right, thank you. All those dollars go to Polio Plus, I believe. So thank you very much. And now I believe that brings us to our, well, I was going to do that last. if
Oh, I
that's
thought
okay.
this was last.
Okay, I was gonna, so I think that brings us to our speaker, and we are very fortunate to have Lisa Martin telling us a little bit about the county spirit.
Thank you very much.
Is that good for you?
Thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Lisa Martin. I am so honored to be here. I'm equally as humbled and honored to be the superintendent of schools for Northampton County Public Schools. So, a little bit about me. I am was very fortunate to be the daughter of a retired Navy chief. So grew up in the military, moved around. I don't think we stayed in any one place longer than 3 years. I married a Navy Mustang, and so continued that, and now am the proud parent of 2 active duty Army soldiers. So yeah. My son is stationed in Poland. He is at a Polish base. I don't know where. He is military intelligence. I just know that he keeps very busy, and my phones are never off. So I just want to tell the folks up at the office that I'm available pretty much 24/7 because we operate around the world in our family. So there we go. Went into education because I was fortunate to have someone in my education experience. Being a military child in a community that did not welcome the military, I was told that I would never make college material, that I really just needed to just, go get a job and go to work. And I had a assistant principal who stepped in and said, you do whatever you want to do. And my parents behind me were right there saying, we're going to help you and we're going to support you. So I went on and went into that. And so an educator is what got me going. My mom started me in the career of nursing, so I have my degree in nursing and left nursing to go into education. And because it's really one of those things I wanted to be with students, I wanted to teach, I wanted to share that passion with them. So I left that and went into education, went to the University of Central Florida. When I decided it was time to branch out a little bit more, went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And then on a whim and a dare, applied for and was, and I say whim and a dare because I got challenged by a good friend of mine and said, yeah, don't even apply for the scholarship, I'm going to get it. So I applied and got offered a Metropolitan Education Research Foundation scholarship to go do my PhD work in Richmond. So I've been kind of working my way across the country and working my way north in that sense. Spent a great deal of time in started my career in Richmond public schools, then went into Portsmouth city schools, and then ended up in Stafford County, Northern Virginia, that area over there. Spent a great deal of time. Assistant principal, associate superintendent. Mom and dad were getting older. The only remaining child in the family. Mom and dad needed help. I went home. So I left Virginia, went home and became a superintendent in North Carolina. And then also, as we went a little further south, chief academic officer for the 3rd largest school division in Georgia. Now that 3rd largest school division, we had 113 Title I schools out of the 147 schools.
Wow.
So we weren't we were near Atlanta, but we weren't a wealthy division. And so really worked with challenges. We had 7 refugee centers there. So did a lot of diversity, had over 100 languages spoken, worked with a lot of welcoming newcomers into our building, into our schools, worked a lot in what we could do and closing those learning gaps that went along. Mom and dad both passed and my family's still here in Virginia, said, time to come home. So right before I came to Northampton, I was at the State Department working in the Office of School Quality, working with challenge schools across the state. And then it was getting to that point where my better half, who's now been in education for almost 38 years, said, I'm going to retire at some point. And I said, where do you want to be? And he said, any place but Northern Virginia. And I said, well, that's kind of broad, can you help me? And he said, I really, really would like, to look at somewhere close to the water. And I said, okay. And so I started looking around and I said, well, there's an opening in Northampton. And he said, no. And I said, yes. And he said, my first job interview, fresh out of college, I interviewed for Northampton High School. And I was interviewed to be a football coach and to a track coach there. And I said, well, why didn't you take it? And he said, because I was going to live in the basement of someone else, of the assistant principal's house. And I got away from mom and dad. I didn't want to go back there. And so he didn't turn it down, but Northampton was a special spot for him. We came over, we looked at it, we loved it. And I said, okay, this is not only where if I get the job, we're gonna move, but this is where we're gonna retire. And he said, absolutely. So we were going back and forth. I interviewed. August 16th, I was offered the position for Associate Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. I accepted, moved here on September 2nd. He's still working in Northern Virginia, so I get those morning texts. I've been on the road for an hour and a half and I hate traffic. Yeah, I travel a little bit less than that, so there's not traffic here. So it's one of those. But he's looking to retire very soon and join us over here. But I kind of journeyed that pathway here, and as I told the board when I accepted the position as superintendent on January 26th, is I may be a come here, but I intend to be a stay here. And when I'm saying I'm going to be a stay here, when it comes my time to retire many moons from now, I'm still going to be here. So I invested in our school system. I invested in the education of our children. I'm invested in the future of the Eastern Shore, and I want to be a part of making a difference here. So I came kind of giving you a little bit about what it is without who I am. So now I want to give you a little bit about, oops, sorry, the wrong way, our mission and vision. Our mission and vision for Northampton is we want to make sure that we are providing not only a safe environment, and I know in this day and age, that's one of our big worries about, are our children safe in our schools? So I'm working with the Sheriff's Department, I'm working with the local police departments. We want a safe environment, we want a nurturing environment, but we want an environment that's going to provide our students with opportunities to do whatever they want to do when they leave here. You know, we talk about college and career ready, that's great, but not every one of our children are going to take the next step right to college, right out of high school here. My son is one of those that was a school struggler. It took him a little bit longer to figure out what he wanted to do. And so he spent 5.5 years exploring. And at one point we had to take that little honeymoon, that break from college, because those GPA raising courses were just getting a little too heavy on the family pocket. Okay, we're going back and we're going to do something a little different. And then we moved back into that college pathway again. So we had to taste in reality. Daughter was the opposite. She figured all the college stuff out. But then she decided she liked it so much, she kept wanting to add on degrees. So 2 masters later, you know, it's one of those that we're working through. But so one of those, but I want to make sure that our students are workforce ready. They're going to be literate, they're going to be literacy savvy, they're going to be mathematically savvy. Thank you for your tutoring for the law division. I so do appreciate you there. But we want to make sure that they are ready for those academic standards, but also those workforce standards that we're going to need to do as we move forward. So one of the things that I've started talking about with our staff is what are we going to start, what are we going to stop, and what are we going to continue? Because in education, one of the things we continue to do is pile on the plate. We never stop anything. We just keep adding to it. And at some point in time, you know, even with China, it can only bear so much weight. And that's the same with our teachers. So I've started asking them about that. So one of the things that we're really focusing in on and what we want to continue is to support, but we also want to focus on what we need to start with is our literacy movement. I have a poster for you sitting in my office.
For Jim.
For Jim, I'm sorry,
Okay.
for you, thanking you, and it was signed by the children of our schools. I was at Mary Poppins this morning, so thank you very much. We took all of our kindergarten, first and second graders at both elementary schools to the Palace Theater to experience Mary Poppins this morning, a live performance. So I was down with about 300 of our students this morning. And so I didn't have the poster. I left it in my chair, so I apologize. I was trying to get all those little ones shoved, and they were so cute. You know, it's the classic raise your hand and they get quiet. So we focused on all of that. But again, so we're going to focus on literacy. And one of the things that the Rotary was so beneficial to us, and thank you for all that came for our sticker day, but it was All District Reads. All District Reads was a program that we started this year. We've done 1 book so far. It is a program where every kindergarten through 6th grader receive a book. They receive a paperback book. Then we go through and we invite and take volunteers for guest readers, and we videotape you reading the chapter. And then our book this year, our first book was El Ray Jakes, is magic. And so we tried to include in some magic tricks and made it exciting. And then what happens with that is we put a calendar out, and the students will go home, and they will actually be able to take that book and read with their parents or listen with their parents a chapter a night. They come back to school the next day. We have games and we have prizes and we ask questions, and it isn't just a single solo competition. The whole class can win so that they can do collaboration and teamwork together. But we really try to make reading fun. We actually partnered with that one, and thank you for hooking us up with that. But we got the state police to come in and translate and read it in Spanish for our families that don't read English. So, second book will be in the fall. We encourage you, it's posted on our website, or was posted on our website, but we encourage you to be a part of as we continue our all district reads. And we thank you again for your support, your financial support, and we hope that you'll enjoy it. As I said, our students all signed it, so we're very excited about it. Our second thing that we're doing is, I don't know if you're aware of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. My dad was electronic warfare. He was STEM before STEM was cool. And so it's always one we brought up in our house. But we have 2 STEM labs with the Cal Ripken Junior Center in our elementary schools. We're getting ready to start with our middle school. So we thank the Rotary for your support with our STEM program in our middle school. And as we continue in hopes, with fingers crossed, that we're going to get the grant, we'll roll it into our high school and have a high school that's going to be, with our new high school, be focused on science, technology. Robotics will be right here. We have a room that will be just built for the new high school once that is off the ground. But we'll have a robotics lab, so they're not having to work out of a little portable, or they're not having to work out of the old music room at the old middle school. But they'll actually have a space that they can do coding. And that's the beauty of starting it at the elementary, is we can start coding in the elementary. We can start building in the elementary. We can start looking at theories of physics at the elementary, and then we can build upon and upon, so that these students can walk out of their high school, go to the university if they so choose, go to Eastern Shore Community College, who is our partner in the high school lab school, but also look at Wallops Island. Because I learned quickly when I got here that many of our children leave because they don't realize the opportunities that are available for them here. That's what we're going to work on in our schools, is working through our work-based learning coordinator. We're going to work through those workplace readiness skills and looking at what opportunities are right here in the beautiful Eastern Shore. So you don't have to necessarily leave to get ahead. You may leave to go experience new things, but you can come back here and make a life and make a living and make a family here. So the last piece I talked about was that workplace readiness skills. And so what we're doing with that, with the workplace readiness skills, is we're looking at what are those skills that every student needs to be employable, to be successful, and to be able to make a life for themselves. One of those we talk about is collaboration. Another is critical thinking. It's looking at problem solving. It's looking at what are we doing in terms of citizenship and understanding that piece as well. What we're looking here is one of the things that we hired, or I hired, one of my first hires was Dr. Ken Muta in terms of a work-based learning coordinator. He is now taking and looking at our career and technical ed program. He's looking at the alignment with the state. His job, as he's been tasked with, is to also look at apprenticeships, mentorships, and internships. So we want to make sure that our students have those experiences while they're in school, not when they have to go off somewhere else. And we want to help them to continue that exploration from the middle school into the high school where they can actually take and learn those skills and be able to use them for the next place. So we're going to be standing up what I call the CTAC, or the SEAC in terms of that, but it's not the S, it's the Career and Technical Education Advisory. I bring this to you because I have that same opinion of Rotary. That was where my businesses, my foundational people were in the community were there. And so I bring that to you is because we're going to be asking for your participation. Dr. Butte is going to be leading our CTE advisory committee for the school division. It is going to be looking at business partners. It's going to look at industry partners. It's going to look at those trends and those workforce ready skills. And we're going to ask you to give us your thoughts, to give us your opinions, to give us what do you think we need to do to better prepare our students to be successful for you as the employer, and what do we need to do? Hospitality management is a major piece on the store. What can we do in terms of culinary arts, hotel management? What can we do? Marketing? What can we do to help make that even a better system? So I gave you a little bit more about this. Again, it's business energy labor. We've already been talking with the Department of Labor on what we can do to support this. But we're going to be standing up this committee, and I hope that you'll be. Ken will be here, and he'll be able to share additional information. We will meet. We don't have the schedule yet, but it'll be quarterly, at least quarterly. We'll be hosting meetings. We want you to become a part of our group. We want you to become a part of our advisory council. I refer to it as a business advisory because that's really what it is. It is our business leaders and what we're doing here. So, how can you support us? This has been a kind of a hectic year. I think I'm in my second job in 6 months. And with my second job in 6 months, I walked into a superintendency that did not have a finance officer, did not have an HR officer. And I was the associate superintendent of curriculum. So when I became the superintendent, I had that. So I was wearing 4 hats. I now have a finance officer, thank goodness. I now have an associate superintendent named, but she won't be able to start. Sandy Drummond will be joining me at the central office. She won't be able to start until June 19th. Blessed to have Ken join me and help me pull some of these pieces together. But how can you? So it was said earlier that maybe we're late to the party. The party's just starting. We're still planning. So we're just getting ready to kick off the party because we're getting ready to go into a new school year. And within that school year, I need your help because these are your schools. These are your students. They're mine, but they're also yours because these are the folks that are going to take care of us as we get older. So we want them to be the best prepared. So what are we going to do? I already talked about all district reads. I already talked about STEM, but I also want to talk to you about the mentoring, the tutoring, the opportunities for really looking at volunteering in our schools. I know it was a little busy, a little crazy, older leadership, but we got it going. The only thing that we ask that you do, because remember I started my talk about being a safe school. If you're wanting to look as a volunteer in our schools, you want to mentor in our schools, you want to be a part of our tutoring program, you do have to go through a background check. Mm-hmm. Then that's where you get the badge, because we want, here you go.
Amazing how fast. Encouraging everybody to get through it.
And again, we just ask you to do that because then you'll be, it's so funny because the students look for this. They truly look to see who's in the building, and if I don't have it and I have my name badge on up here, they'll start to go like, are you supposed to be here? And I had one little one this morning say, I've seen you before. And I said, yeah, I'm a gift to be. And I pulled it out. And she's like, oh, okay. I'm not scared of you now. Please do that. Other thing that I'm going to ask you, and I left a piece of paper on, there's 2 pieces on your table. So I want to hear from you. I am not scared of feedback because I truly believe the only way we're going to get better is if we have your input and your guidance. And that's where I want you to think about it. When you're starting to talk about the next piece is what do your students, what do your students need? Whether they're your family members, whether they're your children, whether they're your students that are in the workforce with you, what do they need? What do you want them to be able to do? And the only way that they're going to do is I'm going to go back to where I started is what do we need to start? What do we need to stop? And what do we continue to need to do? And I always have that last spot on there is anything else. Because it may not fit in the start, stop, or continue, but it may be something else that you need to talk to me about. Please, I've left you a QR code. I've left you, if you don't have, if you'd rather do it on the, I've left you a little link there in there so that you can take a picture of it with your phone, take it and put it into your computer. It'll take you to that survey. I do ask for your email address because that's the only way I can respond back to you. We do have an anonymous feedback on the division webpage, but I always feel the need to try to let people know I fixed it, but I can't tell you if I don't know how to get in touch with you. So that's that piece there. So and finally, we want you in our schools. We want you to be a part of us. We want you to be shoulder buddies with us and partners in as we continue to make them better. But I also need you to get the good word out. We need students back in our schools. We need them to be a part of our schools. COVID has been very hard on our school system. People left the school system because of COVID. There were learning gaps that took place because of COVID. Our children are coming out of it, and in some instances, they haven't had the responsibility for socialization and or engagement with other human beings and outside of their family members for 2 years. And now I know we started coming back last year, but coming back last year was still under the COVID rules. We're back in force now. I need more students back in our building so that we can continue those programs that we've talked about. I need families to know that our schools are safe places to be and that we are going to address and we're going to make sure that our students are prepared for the next phase of their life. Thank you.
Bravo. Dr. Martin, we talked about the badge. How do people get it?
Work through our HR office, our human resources office. You probably came into our human resources office and there you can get paperwork online, but you can also work through the paperwork and then we'll contact you and tell you your badge is ready.
There's an intermittent stop in the sheriff's office. I'm nervous about it. Electronic, so you don't even.
Yep, don't get any, you don't have to worry, smudges are closed, but it is on your fingers.
Now, there's also, and Ken, you might want to speak just about the Pete Charles tutoring group.
Yes, if you're interested in volunteering and tutoring, there is a group, probably, in fact, they're meeting at my house this afternoon.
We have a cocktail.
That's right, yeah. Not during work hours.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yes.
Always says.
But there's a training they'll take you through as well on how to deal with what often comes up in a classroom with some students, and if a student says some things to you that give you concern, how do you tell the teacher? How do you handle those things?
Confidentiality, bloodborne pathogens, who do you share things with along that line? Absolutely, we do that. And those are actually our resources that we share. So it's a collective that we do through it all. But we, again, it's a great opportunity. And if you're not a little person, and that's okay. If you're not a little person, we have tutoring all the way to the high school. So it's not just in the elementaries, it's not just in the middle, it's the whole gamut. And I will tell you, some of our high school students can benefit so greatly from someone. You may be there for tutoring, but it's also you're there for mentoring.
Yeah.
And you're there for support. And you're just there to give them that nudge that they need. That assistant principal who gave me that nudge when I didn't know what I was going to do, when I later in years in my high school years, that one who stood by me. They need that. These students need it even more nowadays.
Dr. Martin, the club has made a donation to the Literacy Council to purchase copies of Nate the Great, which is the chapter book that participants in the age 1 through 4 in the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, when they graduate and when they age out of that, they at least leave with a chapter book. And I'd like to say that we're putting, it's going to say Rotary, and I've been telling everyone their name's going to be on here, but we've been a little hit or miss about the labeling. So I have contacts at the newspaper, and we're going to try and get a nice ad that will list all of the people who have supported the club and supported the book. So thank you.
so very
Some years ago, I worked with the school through an organization which no longer exists. And I got my fingerprints taken at the Cape Charles Police Station. Do you still use the police station?
I don't know that I think we now work through the sheriff's department, and I think everything goes through them as well. So we don't.
I want to tell you, I went to the sheriff's department for fingerprints twice, and they had to be redone. I don't know if it was me.
It was you.
You gotta stop sanding them off.
My little finger was the only one. I just couldn't roll it quite right, but other than that, the other was good to go.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Any last question?
Just one comment.
Yes.
On the and Ken I know you're gonna be part of this. The academics and all the things we do on workforce are important, but I think an element we can't be afraid of addressing is to stress the importance of coming to work every day on time, which is half the battle, I think, for some of our community. But we can't shy away from it.
Not at all. And attire. We cannot shy away from attire either.
Okay. Even the basics are important.
Absolutely.
Okay. Dr. Graham,
Are there still some students that are still not actually attending school in person because of COVID?
Yes, sir.
Oh, really?
What sort of percentage?
Sorry?
Any idea what the percentage is?
Oh, it's very small. Right now, it's probably less than 20 students within our division. We're at 1,300 right now, but we still have about 20. The bigger thing that hit was after the Nashville shooting, and then shortly thereafter, we had another shooting in our country, and we lost some students. They just pulled out because they were concerned about not feeling safe. And if that's one of the things that we're looking at and we're going to be addressing with our administration this summer, we're doing a summer leadership retreat, and we're going to bring security back to the forefront. But I've reached out to Sheriff Gowdy, and we actually have so if you see a sheriff at either one of our elementary schools, we have one that's bouncing between our 2 elementary schools when they're not pulled for road duty, but we have them walking in and walking through so that students are seeing them. This was a great opportunity to build a positive relationship with someone that might be scary, but for our young people all the way up. And then, of course, we have the SRO at the middle school and high school, but it's the elementary ones that moms, and again, goes back to the Nashville shooting. And it's hard when you hear moms call and they're crying because they're just scared. You know, they trust us and they give us their most valuable, commodity there. And again, I am entrusted and charged with making sure it's a safe place. And so, but I don't have, I have to do it together. It has to be a partnership. So that we're working on.
Thank you for focusing on it. All right. Yeah, and now everyone, we have round of applause.
You have any
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, wait, you can stay standing. You can stay standing. Who has the highest
What do we got?
card? Oh, look at, wow. Can anyone beat the ace of spades? Actually, you can tie it. There are 2 aces. Okay, here.
$47.
$47.
Now those are your happy
Cards.
cards.
Jackie has the
No.
cards.
This is another deal.
You want to do drawing or shall I?
The treasurer does
This
the
is
drawing.
gaming.
Right,
Wow.
is here,
Come
so
on
I
over.
shall follow.
Come on over. Congratulations.
President for the last 2 years. for
All right.
Kyle, Caribbean Club. He's also the social
47.
guy. He's gonna need you
I don't know what-
to help. He's gonna need.
We're gonna welcome that.
You better not have it
No.
over.
This is me.
Oh,
What is
right.
your heart?
Oh,
Close.
Yeah, I-
All right, now tear it up. Tear it up.
Wait.
And that one burns. Since I served on the school board, 50 years.
On the,
What
was this?
main rates, the more classes.
$6,000 in the pot.
Holy cow, folks, I don't know if you heard that. Time to buy those cars next week. All right, thank you all for the community. I'm sorry, Rotary Pledge.
Is it the truth?
It is fair, all concerned, will build goodwill and better friendships, will be beneficial to all concerned, and stand. All right, go in service, gentlemen and ladies.
$47.
$47 total.
Lisa, I have to tell you.